Yeah, we can start, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 25, Chapter 6, Text 25. Shane Shane Uparame Buddhyadhiti Gritya Atma Sanstham Mana Kritva Na Kinchit Api Chintet.
Oh my God. State pension. The other generation is going to be at 72 and more tax. We got our pension at 60. Now 72. Now Rasika's turn is they all are at 66.
No, devotees, can you mute yourselves, please? There's too much background noise. Please mute yourselves. Thank you.
Sorry, text 25. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Text 26. Yato yato nischalati manachanchalam asthiram tato niyametat atmani eva vasham niyat.
From wherever the mind wanders, due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of self.
Text 27. Prashant manasam he enam yoginam sukham uttamam upeti shanta rajasam brahmabhutam akalmasham.
The yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds.
Text 28. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vigata kalmasha sukhena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukham ashnute.
Thus, the self-controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service of the Lord.
Text 29. Sarvabhutastham atmanam sarvabhutani chatmani ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samdarshana.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere.
Text 30. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati tasyaham na panashyami sa chamena panashyati.
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me.
Text 31. Sarvabhuta sthitam yo mam bhajate ekatvam asthita sarvatha vartamano api sa yogi mai vartate.
Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful services of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances.
Text 32. Atmopamena sarvatra समं पश्यति यो अर्जुन सुखं वा यदि वा दुःखं सा योगी परमो मतः.
He is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna.
Text 33. Arjuna vacha yoyam yogas tvaya prokta samyena madhusudana etasaham na pashyami chanchalatvat vatsthitim sthiram.
Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady.
Text 34. Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavad dhidam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkuram.
The mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna. And to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind.
Text 35. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Asansyam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagena Chagrihate.
Lord Shri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment.
Text 36. Asanchya Atmana Yogo Dushprap iti memati Vashyatmana tu yatata Shakyo Vaptum Upayata.
For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work, but he whose mind is controlled and who strives for appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion.
Text 37. Arjuna Vacha Aita Shadhya Upeto Yoga Chalitamanasa Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhim Kam Gatim Krishna Gachati.
Arjuna said, O Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism?
Text 38. Kachinobhya Vibhrashtal Chinnabhram Iva Nashyati Apratishto Mahabaho Vimuro Brahmanapati.
O mighty Am Krishna, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success and perish like a riven cloud with no position in any sphere?
Text 39. Etan me sansyam Krishna chetum arhasi asheshata Tvad anya sanshya asyasya chetana hi upapadyate.
This is my doubt, O Krishna. I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt.
Text 40. Jai Bhagwan Vacha Parthneva Namutra Vinasastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Krit Kaschit Durgatim Tat Gachati.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Son of Pratha, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world nor in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil.
Text 41. Prapya Punya Kritam Lokan Ushitva Shashwati Sama Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe Yoga Bhashto Abhijayate.
The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planets of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy.
Text 42. Athava yoginam eva kule bhavati dhimatam etadhi durlabhataram tarvam loke janma yad idrisham.
Or, if unsuccessful after long practice of yoga, he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world.
Text 43. Tatrautam buddhi samyogam labhte paurva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddhyo kurunandana.
On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru.
Text 44. Purvabhyasena teneva hriyate hi avashopi sa jigyasurapi yogasya shabda brahma ativartate.
By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles. Even without seeking them, such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures.
Text 45. Prayatna yata manastu yogi samshuddha kilpisha anek janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim.
And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal.
Text 46. तपस्वीभ्यो अधिको योगी ज्ञानीभ्यो अपि मतो अधिका कर्मेभ्यश्चाधिको योगी तस्मात् योगी भवार्जुना.
A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances be a yogi.
Text 47. Yoginamapi sarvesham madgyantaraatmana shadavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamomata.
And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me. He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Om Tat Sat iti Srimad Bhagavad-Gita Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyaya Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Dhyana Yogo Nama Shashto Adhyaya. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Are you here now?
Thank you.
Antaranga, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribo?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm going to make you the host now. Hare Krishna.
Okay, wonderful. Haribo, dear devotees, Hare Krishna. Thank you for the recitation.
Prabhuji, are you going to stay with us till the bhajan finishes?
No. Sorry for that. Morning duties for me tomorrow.
Oh, okay. So then you will have to make me host again. Because if you finish, then the meeting will end.
ఇప్పుడు థర్డ్ డే
చేసుకోవాలంటున్నాను కదా అప్పుడు ఏమి ఇస్తారు డిప్లొమా ఇస్తారు
Hare Krishna, please can you mute yourself?
డిగ్రీ ఇస్తారు ఇప్పుడు ఎన్ని రోజులు వేసుకోవాలా
Hare Krishna. There was
Sorry,
some
Prabhuji, I have to mute
serious-
everyone. Yes, so
serious
I'm making you
discussion
the
happening
host.
there.
Sorry, I'm making you the host. You can share your slides. And before you leave, please will you give me the rights again?
Why don't you just make me a co-host?
Then is it okay? Yeah?
Yeah, just make me a co-host. I'm not going to be sharing my screen that much anyway.
Okay.
All right, wonderful.
They're done, Prabhuji.
Done. Hare Krishna. Okay, Haribol, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to all of you. Thank you for being here in this Saturday evening discussing Bhagavad Gita. What an amazing way to spend your evening on Sunday. So it's great fortune of mine to be here again with in your association. Okay, sound check. Hopefully you can hear me, and visual check. You can see me. So today we're going to be discussing from the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita entitled Dhyana Yoga. In translation, yoga via meditation. So, and the selected verse for today was text number 33. I hope that's correct. That's what I was told by Divyanam Prabhu. So after this whole presentation which Krishna gave a variety of points. Who is a personality who's qualified to perform dhyana yoga? Or as we kind of established or discussed last time, basically there's a kind of a progress as a yoga ladder. In previous chapter, Krishna was speaking about karma yoga. And then in the beginning verses, Krishna established what is the qualification of transition from karma to dhyana. And here, basically, until the end of verse 32, Krishna finishes presentation. So Krishna is giving a variety of qualifications of that personality who's practicing dhyana yoga. And now Arjuna is kind of presenting his points. So last three verses, let's just speak them in translation. So Prabhupada translated in the verse text 30, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he never lost to me. One qualification, quality of vision. Such a yogi who engaged in a worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. 32. He is perfect yogi who by comparison to his own self sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. So interesting point here where Arjuna or where Krishna actually speaks in a text number 32. He's speaking about equality of all beings, comparison, yes. So true equality and true comparison. So we are taught kind of through the ages and through the 21st century that comparing is actually very wrong, right? That we are all equal to each other. Everything is on the same level. Everything is put in one bowl of khichdi, and everything is good. Everything is perfect. There's no discrimination. Yet, interesting enough, Krishna speaks here that there is comparison and there is equality, but we need to also establish on which sort of platform. So let's come to the verse number 33. Arjuna said, O Madhusudan, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Purport by Prabhupada. The system of mysticism described by Lord Krishna to Arjuna, beginning with the words Shauchau Deshe and ending with Yogi Parama, is here being rejected by Arjuna out of a feeling of inability. It is not possible for an ordinary man to leave home and go to a secluded place in the mountains or jungles to practice yoga in this age of Kali. The present age is characterized by a bitter struggle for life of short duration. People are not serious about self-realization, even by simple, practical means. And what to speak of this difficult yoga system, which regulates the mode of living, the manner of sitting, selection of place, and detachment of the mind from material engagements. So what interesting points, right? Prabhupada is mentioning how this whole system of dhyana yoga is actually very archaic, or very old. It's a very ancient system which requires variety of facilitations. Facilitations that the person needs to be, first of all, qualified. Second of all, there's necessity of a specific location, specific sitting position, specific direction of the sitting position, and also qualification of the level of the mind, right? The person needs to be actually detached and see everything equally. And yet Arjuna here, a very great personality, very qualified leader, which is actually beyond these qualifications, because he's a very intimate friend of Krishna, and he's qualified to follow in the footsteps of one of these 5 principal rasas on the level of Sakya, or basically friendship with the Lord. Therefore, he's beyond a dhyani, or beyond someone who practices meditation. Yet out of humility, out of practicality, and out of showing the path that Varnashram system can be utilized to, follow Krishna consciousness, him taking position of a Kshatriya is saying, well, it's not possible for me to do this. So Prabhupada continues. As a practical man, Arjuna thought it was impossible to follow the system of yoga, even though he was favorably endowed in many ways. He belonged to the royal family and was highly elevated in terms of numerous qualities. He was a great warrior, he had a great longevity, and above all, he was the most intimate friend of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 5,000 years ago, Arjuna had much better facilities than we do now, yet he refused to accept the system of yoga. In fact, we do not find any record in history of his practicing it at any time. Therefore, this system must be considered generally impossible in this age of Kali. Of course, it may be possible for some very few rare men, but for the people in general, it is an impossible proposal. If this were so 5,000 years ago, then what of the present day? Those who are imitating this yoga system in different so-called schools and societies, although complacent, are certainly wasting their time. They are completely in ignorance of the desired goal. Jai. One thing about Prabhupada, he's just like straight to the point. He doesn't mess around. He doesn't have a time to mess around. So basically what Prabhupada is presenting, that this whole system of dhyana yoga, or deep meditation, absorption, and renunciation, and accepting vanaprastha sort of lifestyle, is impossible in this day and age. I mean, where are you going to go here in England? First of all, they don't have any hills, any mountains to take shelter of, any caves. Forests are quite cold, and not even proper sitting cushions are available. Not even proper type of deer is available. So not really possible, not really practical in this day and age. But rather what is possible and practical is chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and actually studying Prabhupada's books, and more than studying, more than knowledge, actually applying them in day-to-day life. So after Krishna gave this whole wonderful presentation, Arjuna was like, no, this is not really possible for me. Look at my so-called contamination. Look at my so-called position. I'm a so-called worldly man with the royal blood, right? Many people depend upon me, upon my decisions. I cannot go at this stage of life and practice this sort of renunciation. And interesting enough, if you think about it, in the chapter number 1, when Arjuna was very upset, right? He was like, I'm not going to fight these family members. I'd rather will go and beg in the forest. I would rather give up my role or position. Yet Krishna gave all the information, what it actually requires when you perform proper tapasya on the level of dhyana yoga. So Arjuna was first like, okay, let me do this. Let me do this renunciation. Let me give up my varna. Let me just go to the forest, beg, and practice meditation. And then Krishna presented what is actually involved within this meditation. What is actually the qualifications of one who engages in meditation. And then Arjuna, it actually clicked with him. Okay, this is not really possible. So you can see that Bhagavad-Gita is not only a book or a philosophical book, but it's a journey of consciousness. It's a journey where one individual person is in a trouble, and out of some kind of a sentiment, out of some kind of a delusion which was put upon Arjuna based on his desire to facilitate the speaking of the Bhagavad Gita, he put out certain arguments. And as the Bhagavad Gita is slowly progressing, all of these varieties arguments are kind of cut to pieces with the knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So it's not only philosophical presentation, but it's a journey. It's a journey where in the beginning, Arjuna was somehow or another confused about his duties. And now he's kind of start understanding, well, this sort of path is not really for me. So what does it mean for us? Within this verse, we can identify that Krishna consciousness is a really art of introspection. We really have to be introspective in the sense that we just have to know what is our position, right? We have to be basically, in other words, you got to be real. You got to be real with yourself. You really have to understand who you are, where you are, what is your situation, and what is your ability to offer to Krishna without burnout, right? So in the past, there have been stories and pastimes where, unfortunately, there was one Prabhupada disciple. He approached Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, can I have your blessings? I want to go to Vrindavan and I want to chant lakhs and lakhs of rounds, and I want to be initiated to become a Babaji and be initiated into all these rasic bhavas and all these esoteric stuff which happens between Krishna and the gopis. And Prabhupada was like, I mean, why you want to go? Like, just stay. But the devotee was very persistent that he wants to really go. And then he went. He managed for maybe a couple of years, and then devotees, they saw him working in a pump station a couple of years afterwards in America. So Arjuna, what he's presenting is showing us that we have to be real with our position. We really have to understand, otherwise we can very easily fall down if you try to kind of doing level up, if you want to be higher than you really are. So Arjuna is presenting that, as he's saying, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and undurable. So one of the really important points is sustainability. Sustainability of Krishna consciousness depends on your level of reflection. You have to really understand who you are, as I mentioned, where you're from, what you're up to, what is your desired goal, and you have to kind of prepare yourself to put yourself on a certain path, on a path of Krishna consciousness. And the key word is durability, right? You have to sustain yourself in Krishna consciousness, right? Many times the spiritual master gives us blessings, gives us some kind of a duty or a task to perform. And there's no shame saying that, well, my dear Guru, I'm not able to do this. I will try my best, but obviously it's not in my practical abilities to offer the level which you require. And you can always ask for some directions to kind of do the specific duty presented to you by a spiritual master. But the key thing is that we have to sustain. We have to be sustained. Just like you wouldn't jump into water to save someone if you yourself don't know how to swim. So first of all, we as spiritual practitioners, we have to learn how to swim in this vast sea of Krishna consciousness. And then we may offer something in return to others and helping others. So I don't know, some of you may know that my main kind of a service is Sankirtan or other in book distribution. And not only during the marathon, but throughout the year, we're going outside and distributing Prabhupada's books. And I was just reflecting, we've been in Northampton yesterday, and there was a lot of disturbance. There was a lot of disturbance on the street. There was these Christians just bashing, just pumping just these fearful thoughts into your head that, you know, if you don't accept Christ, then you just for eternity you'll go to hell. And he was actually so rude to us. He was Indian, funny enough, He was of Indian background, and we, there was like 3 of us, which been like white as a snow, white as a cloud, wearing dhotis and tilaks on our foreheads and sharing Krishna consciousness. So it was a bit of a interesting situation. And that gentleman became very, very offensive towards us. He was saying that, Krishna is kind of minimizing the impact of Krishna consciousness on people. And it was a bit upsetting. It was very upsetting, the situation. And there were individuals which been blasting music, right? Just doing their own karmi songs. There were people which been under influence of variety of intoxicants, shouting. And all of this, there was like a kind of interesting commotion, interesting soup, interesting khichdi happening of variety of noises, very disturbing. And if you are not trained, the point is, if you are not trained to kind of be Eka Kurunandana, to be focused on your mission, on your goal, you may very easily lost it, in the sense that if you are not focused on why you are there, if you just kind of start absorbing yourself, if you try to kind of focus on all these disturbances, you may lose the track. So sometimes what happens to me is that, even like other day, we've been again in Birmingham, and it's just so many people just constantly rushing left, right, center. And even if you zone out just for a couple of minutes and start thinking in different things, you may lose it. You may lose the kind of a flow of, approaching people, talking to people. So one very important thing within Krishna consciousness in general is that you have to sustain yourself. You have to know what is the Sambandha, Abhidheya, and Prayojana, which means what is the philosophy, what is the practical application, and what is the goal, what do you want to achieve. So when you're performing some kind of a service, when you dedicate yourself to some kind of a lifestyle, you first of all need to know why you're doing it, right? If I come to you today and ask you, well, why are you participating in this chat group, right? Chapter a day, why are you doing it? Then you need to come up with an answers. You need to know my spiritual master, His Holiness Kadamba Swami Maharaj. He always says you need to have 100 reasons why you're doing things. You really need to know the Siddhanta, the philosophy. If someone asks you why you're vegetarian, why are you offering your food, why are you chanting Hare Krishna, why are you studying books, why are you associating most of the time with the Vaishnavas, why are you coming to the temple, why are you practicing devotional service, you need to know the answer. And again, you need to provide the answer to the variety of these questions. And the reason for that is that you have to be strongly rooted to practice something so deep as Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, sorry to say, it will be a shallow practice based on sentiment and some kind of a unnecessary emotional kind of thoughts. So the reality is that by studying Prabhupada's books, you're kind of rooting yourself in true understanding of the nature of your practices. So if we have the philosophy done, then you can go to the practical application. So what the philosophy is presenting, it gives you real meditation, real dhyana of why you're performing that specific activity. So here Arjuna is saying, well, if this philosophy or this sort of dhyana which you're presenting now in the chapter 6, it's impractical for me and it's undurable. So let's reverse it. Let's go from the other side. We have to be practical and durable. So I kind of explain the necessity of how to be durable. Durable means that you connect yourself with scriptures, you constantly contemplate, and you internalize the practices, you internalize the philosophy. And you constantly have to remind yourself what is actually the goal, right? Even if the goal is very far away, even if the goal is, pure unalloyed devotional service, you still have to know what is the goal. What do you want to achieve? Why are you going through so many struggles? Why are you chanting at least 2 hours on your beat bag? What do you want to achieve? We answer the question why, but you need to also need to know what is the destination of that process, of that devotional activity. And that destination is, well, enjoying eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, with Krishna, and ultimately serving spiritual master, serving Srila Prabhupada. That is the goal. And whatever the Acharya's desire of us, that's our destination. If Krishna allows, we can go back to Godhead. If Krishna desires, we can serve in another part of the universe, the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So these things are very, very important. In a sense of practicality, when Prabhupada came to the West, he saw the situation. First couple of weeks when you read Lilamrita, he was observing the Americans. He was contemplating on how they function, how they live their day-to-day life, how they kind of think, how their mind functions. So you can see Prabhupada is just expertly reading these people in first couple of years of staying in the US. And then he started implementing variety of things which to certain degree are going against some kind of a cultural aspects of India, right? Or certain cultural aspects of Indian traditions. Prabhupada was presenting things like, you see, deities should not be worshipped outside of India. Even sadhus should not travel outside of India. And what to speak of Shudras and Lechas and Yavanas having access to these sort of books, right? What to speak of initiating us to Brahmanical culture, right? What to speak of, seeing women on the altar, unthinkable in India. What to speak of presenting Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam in a Shudra language like English, which cannot even capture properly the sentiments and the philosophy of Sanskrit and Bengali language, which is very, very much more elevated than English. But yet Prabhupada did it. Prabhupada was giving sannyas order to someone to, in those days, I cannot really judge, but to people which not having the sannyas culture, the culture of renunciation. So all these things have been done on the premises of practicality. They've been done on the premises of judgment of a pure devotee, Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and he understood the need of the situation and the need of the moment, that these things have to happen for Krishna consciousness to grow all around the world. And it happens. And yet these personalities which have been deemed unqualified, suddenly by the mercy of a pure devotee start gaining that qualification. Because as Lord Chaitanya was fighting against Smarta Brahmanas, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj was fighting against the Goswamis, right, the Brahmanas which inherited the Brahmanical title by family lineage, Srila Prabhupada was fighting against this Mayavad conception in the Western world, against the conception that the modern scientific perspective on the reality is the only way of and the only source of information. So many paths like this, until we come to conclusion that actually the process of purification is that you're giving anyone and everyone a chance to kind of practice Krishna consciousness, read Bhagavad-Gita, chant Hare Krishna, engage themselves in practical devotional service. So 2 points from this verse: practicality and durability. And Arjuna is a perfect example of emphasizing these 2 specific points. That in your Krishna consciousness, you have to be practical, and you have to think long term. This is not a marathon, right? This is, how do you say, no? This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So don't think only about tomorrow or next week, next month. Think about that this Krishna consciousness is for life, and life after life, right? Janma Janma, birth after birth. Okay, enough from my side. I've done a bit of a presentation. If there are any questions, any points, or anything devotees wish to share, please do so. You can send me personal message if you don't want to voice or you don't want to speak. But yeah, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Prabhuji, I just want to say thank you, Prabhuji, because you explained it so well, and it just it just hit my head when you said consistency, because that is something I've been thinking about. I know I shouldn't think like this, Prabhuji, but some days I feel like I don't want to go backwards. I just want to go forward. And like you said, being practical, doable, and consistent, something to do forever. And I just want to say thank you, Prabhuji, because it's just hit me right at the head, because I've been thinking about this for a couple of days, that some days it's a bit of a struggle and you just don't want to go backwards when it's a struggle for whatever reason. You know, you're busy with work or busy with kids or family stuff happening, and you just feel, oh my God, I need to finish my mala. I need to finish my mala. And I just feel, am I going to go backward? Am I going to go backward? But like you said, being consistent, practicable, and doable. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's all I want to say as a reflection.
Thank you for
Hare
that.
Krishna.
Yes, you have to be real. Same time, you have to feel a bit of a pinch. That's what tapasya means. Tapa, the root of this word means heat, like creating heat. And heat can be only creating when there is a bit of a, how do you say, pressure applied and a bit of a tension. So we should feel a bit of a pinch in our Krishna consciousness, that some kind of a going over obstacles that should be there definitely, but not on the not for the price of doing it short term, right? Because how long we can be under so much pressure until we break completely. There's just one point mentioned here by Surabi. So even ISKCON group distributors are offensive sometimes, or pure simply rude. I'm sorry to hear that. I train my devotees or my boys, my Sankirtan team, to be nice and kind and always sensitive towards the needs of the individuals. I'm sorry if you came across book distributors which are not like that. My sincere apologies. But for someone to be a book distributor is a great responsibility, because you represent Prabhupada, you represent ISKCON as a movement. So I hope we haven't been devotees from our temple. I'm sorry for that, but not everyone is like that. Many of us are trying to practice humility in the face of many difficulties and many challenges which are presented to us on the streets. So Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Go on, whoever it is. I'll speak like.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, thank you very much for a wonderful class. I really like the points you made. One point that's stuck in my head, which I think I will ponder over, is when you said that I should have 100 reasons as to why am I practicing Krishna consciousness? What is the philosophy? Why am I chanting? Why am I vegetarian? I think I would have some reasons, but I don't think I have the depth that I could come up with 100 reasons, which would be very convincing. And I get asked this question very often in life: why are you chanting? Or why are you, vegetarian? Or why you don't eat onion garlic? And you try to answer, but I'm not sure if I'm always able to convince the other person. But yeah, this is definitely going to make me think to see if I can find the answers to it. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes, that's a very good point. Thank you for mentioning that. So I coming from psychological background. By my trade, I'm a psychologist, and one of the main ways which I was utilizing my career as a psychologist was cognitive behavioral psychology, and this implements a very important part, and that is that you introducing logical arguments which you can comprehend with your mind and with your intelligence, and then utilize them to cognitively kind of create a structure around your life and overcome the problems and challenges in your life. That's why the reason, 100 reasons, right? The more and more answers to why you're doing things, the more and more becomes fixed within you. The more it becomes like part of your life, structured, solid. It will be not a sentimental whim, but rather something of substance, which will actually, this will allow you to overcome challenges which you will be facing in the future, one way or another, sooner or later. You happen to all of us. So that's the reason why we need these things. We need to know why we're doing it. So thank you for that. And yeah, and all of this comes by reading, associating, studying, discussing, churning, and make it part of our life.
Hare
Thank
Krishna, Ranga Prabhu.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. It's really wonderful class. One thing I like is that when you mention about, Arjuna said, okay, I'll go to the forest. I don't want to fight. And Krishna then wanted to really give me as a great teacher. The Supreme Personality of God really wanted to put to in a system so that he realized that no, Dhyana Yoga is not for me. It's not for me to go to the forest and do meditation. How Krishna brought Arjun to he was not very comfortable, or to teach us, he has shown us that Dhyana Yoga actually, yes, it is wonderful if you can do it, but it's not for everybody. He wanted to show, and step by step, and then Arjun said, no, it's not for me. So actually this teaching, the way of teaching Krishna is doing to us, like Srila Prabhupada, the way he has elaborated every verse in such a wonderful way. It's really amazing. Unless you come to these classes, it's for your on your own, it's very difficult to to understand this. So it's good to be in the classes discussion, so that we the things goes in our head, and then when we do something next, then we need to identify ourselves where we are actually, where how can we go forward from this point. And that's why we need spiritual master. It's not possible to do on your own. I had some difficulties. I mean, I was not well, and actually through my illness, actually I was very fortunate that I was connected to my spiritual master. Always had a relation, like one reverence, but during my, and somehow I got connected, and some of the things I could not clarify to my spiritual master before, but because of this personal, the interaction with him, I explained few things, and then I got such a wonderful lesson from him. I said, that's why you need somebody, superior as your guidance. Then you can really, you feel the connection. You really feel the connection, and then you get guided. So you have to surrender to somebody, somebody as a spiritual master. It can help us, like Arjuna did. Came to spiritual master like Krishna, and then step by step how he was taught. It's such a wonderful way you showed. It's really wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that point. There are some messages which I also received privately, so I'm not going to be mentioning those devotees which send it to me. So I'm going to just react to a few of them with your permission. There was one point about chanting. Yeah, chanting is definitely important. Chanting is a way forward, but chanting, the best way to do chanting is in congregation with other devotees. There was one question about, specifically about the point which I said about that distribution when there was a lot of disturbances. So what we did, we just moved when there was so many disturbances around. We just took our boxes, we just moved somewhere where was it slightly less disturbing. But then what happened, there was these guys with these massive speakers. They just came and it's just like blasting music. So yeah, what to do? Material world, there's always disturbance there. Okay, there's some other points. Okay, there is one question. Was Dhyana Yoga recommended for any other yugas? If not recommended that we should follow it, why is there a whole chapter about Gita? Very good question. So basically, Dhyana Yoga as such was, okay, so you have Satya, Dvapara, Treta, and Kali. Kali is chanting. Dvapara and Treta is deity worship and yagyas. And Satya Yuga, yeah, Satya Yuga was very much in meditation, because then these personalities haven't been really much disturbed by the mind, by the flickery mind. So they've been much more easier practicing meditation. And that was the prescribed way of going back to Godhead through meditation. So the question is, why is it presented in the Bhagavad-Gita? Because still, Dhyana Yoga, for those who really, really are on that stage and really on that platform, it is very much practiced. And consider 5,000 years ago, it was a still process of liberation to perform dhyana or meditation. And as Prabhupada was mentioning in the purport, 5,000 years later, which is in today's present day and age, not really recommended, not recommended, but still possible. Still possible. There's still individuals in the, in the Himalayas or in the different forests of India when they are practicing dhyana and they are successful to practice dhyana. But these are very few rare personalities which are able to do it. And Krishna, in a sense of fair play, he just presented all this variety of yogas or different variety of connections. Just like he was presenting karma yoga, dhyana, ashtanga, sakama, nishkama, karma yoga, and variety of different yogas, he also presented dhyana. Okay. Okay. Any other points? Anything else? Any other questions devotees would like to reflect? Otherwise, as far as I know, there should be some kind of a bhajan being played, so I don't want to take time from that bhajan. Okay, otherwise there's one more point, one message about the tolerance. So there was this point, I'm going to just read it. The tolerant may say, you can do what you want. I won't impose my way on you. But the intolerant may have the mentality, but I won't tolerate your way. I will do my way and make you adopt my way. Such tolerance towards intolerance is a self-destructive caricature of a tolerance. It empowers the intolerant and disempowers the tolerant. Yes, very interesting point, and I like that point. So let me be just fully honest. We've been 5 young brahmacharis in the street of Northampton, and we've been smiling, we've been having good time, we've been laughing, and the way we function is that actually this sort of happiness attracts much more people. So some of these preachers which are on the streets, they shout, right, you go to hell, and this guy is the only way. If you don't do it for eternity, you're damned. So the way they've been presenting philosophy is from the angle of a fear, very much fear. Either if you do it, then you suffer. If you don't do it, you suffer. If you do it, you can go to heaven. Our path was much more on the level of love, appreciation, having good time. And people actually react to happiness more than any words and anything else. So if your sadhana is good, if your spiritual practice is good, if your chanting is nice, if your connection to Guru Parampara is good, if your reading is nice, people naturally feel that. People feel that, oh, look, there's a person who's, relaxed, happy, chilled, smiling, even amongst all of this disturbance. What is he up to? So you can see it next time on your own, when you're traveling or when you're in the city where there's some of these personalities presenting something. Just look at them. Look at, sometimes there's not so much happiness within them, rather they want to invoke fear within you. And that's not exactly the path of Krishna consciousness. So tolerance means that we understand the material nature of reward you accordingly. We just tolerating all that you're going through for our sake, so we can be focused. So we just understand we're having a faith that Krishna will sort you out rather than us. Hare Krishna. So with that said, thank you and wishing you all the best. And thank you for tolerating me today. And I'm going to have an early rest now because tomorrow I'm waking up early as well. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Chakora Premanande. Hari Bol.
Hari
Thank you
Bol.
very
Thank you,
much.
Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class.
Thank you, Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Dandavat pranams. So Shyam Prabhu will be singing a beautiful bhajan called Gopi Geet. But before Prabhuji sings, Indra Mataji will be reading the English translation. Indira Mataji, are you ready to read the English translation, please? Hare Krishna Mataji, are you ready to read the English translation, please?
Yes, Mataji, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I clicked the video rather than the mic. Sorry, I'm
when
here.
you're ready, please start. Thank you.
Okay. Hare Krishna, everybody. The gopis said, "Oh, beloved, your birth in the land of Braj has made an exceedingly glorious. Thus, Indira, the goddess of the fortune, always resides here. It is only for your sake that we, your devotee servant, maintain our lives. We have been searching everywhere for you. So please show me yourself to us." 2. O Lord of love, in beauty of your glance, excels the world of finest, most perfectly formed lotus within the autumn pond. O bestower of benediction, you are killing the maid servants who has given themselves to you freely without any price. Isn't that this murder? 3. O greatest of personality, you have repeatedly saved us from all kinds of danger, from poisoned water, from terrible man-eater Aga, from the greatest rains, from the wind demon and the fiery thunderbolt of Indra, from the bull demon and from the son of Maya Dhanva. 4. You are not actually the son of Gopi Yashoda, O friend, but rather indwelling witness in the hearts of the embodied souls. Because Lord Brahma prayed for you to come and protect the universe, you have now appeared in the Satvata dynasty. 5. O best of Vrishni, your lotus-like hand, which holds the hand of the goddess of fortune, grants fearlessness to those who approach your feet out of fear. Material existence, O lover, please place the wish-pulling lotus hand on your head, on our head. 6. O you who destroyed the suffering of the Raj people, O hero of all women, your smile shatters and falls pride of your devotees. Please, dear friend, accept us as your maidservant and show us your beautiful lotus face. 7. Your lotus feet destroy the past sins of all embodied souls who surrender them to them. Those feet fall after the cows in the pastures and are the eternal void of the goddess of fortune. Since you once put those feet on the hoods of the great serpent Kalia, please place them upon our breast and tear away the lust of our hearts. 8. O lotus-eyed one, your sweet voice and charming words, which attract the minds of intelligence and bewildering us more and more. Our dear hero, please revive your maidservants with the nectar of your lips. 9. The nectar of your words and the description of the activities are the life of and soul those suffering in the material world. This narration, transmitted by learned sages, eradicated one's sinful reactions and bestowed good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. 10. Your smiles, your sweet, your loving glances and intimate pastimes and confidential talks we enjoy with you. All these auspicious to meditate upon and they touch our hearts. But at the same time, O deceiver, they are very much agitated our minds. 11. Dear Master, dear lover, when you leave the cowhead village to herd the cows, our minds are disturbed with the thought that your feet, more beautiful than a lotus, will be pricked by the spiked husk of grain and rough grass and plants. 12. At the end of the day, you repeatedly showed us your lotus face covered with dark blue locks of hair thickly powdered with dust. Thus, O hero, you arose lustily, desire in our minds. 13. Your lotus feet, which are worshipped by Lord Brahma, fulfill the desire of all who bow down to them. They are the ornaments of the earth. They give the highest satisfaction, and in time of danger, they are the appropriate objects of meditation. O lover, destroyer of anxiety, please put these lotus feet upon our breast. 14. O hero, kindly distribute us to the nectar of your lips, which enhance conjugal pleasure and vanquish grief. That nectar is thoroughly relished by your vibrating flute and makes people forget any other attachment. 15. When you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of second becomes like a millennium for us because we can't see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with the adornment and curly locks, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which were fashioned by the foolish creator. 16. Dear Agyuta, you know very well why we have come here. Who but a cheater like you would abandon young women who come to see him in the middle of the night, enchanting by the loud songs of his flute, just to see we have completely rejected our husband, children, ancestor, brothers, and other relatives. 17. Our minds are repeatedly bewildered as we think of the independent conversation we had with you in secret. Feel the rise of lust in our hearts and remember your face smiling face, your loving glances, and your broad chest, the resting place of the goddess of fortune. Thus we experience the most severe hankering of you. 18. O beloved, your auspicious appearance vanquish the distress of all the living rudge forests. Our minds long for your association. Please give to us just a bit of that medicine which counteracts the disease in our devotees' hearts. 19. O dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breasts, fearing that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about in the forest path. Hare Krishna. Sorry
Hare
about any mistakes.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hari Bol.
Hare Bol.
Shyam Prabhu, are you ready to sing?
Yes, Mataji.
Very nice. Please
Hare
go.
Krishna to everyone. Mataji, if you can just increase the size of it, so it will be clear. Yes, that would be fine. And just as I keep completing the verses, if you can just slide down, then that will be great, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Gopya Ucha. Jayati Devika. Mataji, am I audible? Am I fine?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can hear you.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Jayati Devika Janmana Rajaha Shrayata Indira
sadhu jata sadhu sarasi jodara Shri Nishadrisha Suratanathate Sulkadasika Varadani Nato Nihaki Vada Visajalapaya Varashamaruta Vaidyutanala Rishamayatmaka Vishwatovayadu Rishabhate Vaya Rachitamoho Nakalu Gopika Nandanu Akila Devina Antaratmadre Vikana Shantiko Vishwadutaye Satarudeva Satvatam Kule Virachitavayam Rishvidurayate Virachitavayam Rishvidurayate Charanayusam Samsritirvaya Karashvarodham Kantakadam Sirasidena Shrikaragraham Rajajanatihan Virayoginam Vijayanasmaya Vamshanasmita Bhajasati Prabha Kinkarismano Jalaruhana Charudarshaya Pranata Devina Papakarshana Trinachananuga Shri Niketanam Panipadharpita Te Padamuja Krunupute Krindinichayam Madhurayadhira Valguvayaya Budamanosaya Pushkarikshana Vidikaridima Viranati Adarasimunaya Yasya Swana Tava Gatamrutam Tapta Jivana Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadakanam प्रहसितां विहारणां गते ध्यानमङ्गलम् राशि सङ्गीतो पुनतनो मना शोभयन्ति चलसि यद्वजा नलिना सुन्दरा नादरे पदम् शिलात्रिमार्कुटै सिदति कलिलतामना काण्डगच्छति दिनपरीक्षणे वनरुहानना बिभ्रदावृतम् गणरजस्वरम् दर्शयामि मनसि स्मरा वीरयचसि प्रणतकामधं पद्महार्तिका धरणि मण्डना जययमपदे चरण पङ्कजं सन्तमाते रमणनास्तने अर्पयादिहम् सुरतवर्धनं शोकनाशना स्वरदिवेणुना शुश्रुषुम्बितम् इतररागा विस्मराणाना वितरवीराना तेदरामृतम् अतति त्रुतियुगायते त्वामपश्यताम् कुटिलकुण्डलां श्रीमुखां जाते पद्मक्रीदृशम् पतिसुतां रहसि संस्कृता रहसि कानना प्रेमवीक्षणम् बृहदुदाक्षितो वीक्षये Rajavano
Hari Bol. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Beautiful singing and such a beautiful bhajan as well. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you, everyone. Sorry if it didn't sound right or any mistakes. I'm sure you would have listened to some good versions of this song, so it's a humble effort just to share with you.
It was wonderful. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
So, dear devotees, we can end the session now. Let's with the Vaisnava prayers. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you for your wonderful song.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Wonderful singing.